Hello, my name is Ammon Bundy. I'm one of the creators of People's Rights System, and I'm also a state assistant in Idaho. And I'm offering you some insight here today of ways to identify whether your area is healthy or not. And some areas are brand new, some have been going on for some time now. So, don't get discouraged if most of these things are not happening. Just use it as a gauge to be able to identify what you need to do and to identify to make sure you are doing it correctly when you're forming your area and when you're getting the people together and united. So, ways to identify if your area is healthy. First of all, there is 3 to 5 area assistants in your area. Now, this is important, 3 to 5, because if you have 3, we found out, less than 3, we have found out through different experiences that typically, if it's just 1 or 2, then they get burnt out. The other thing that happens, if there's just 1, then they're more prone to use the system for things that might not be appropriate. So it's important that you have 3 to 5 area assistants. Now, why 5 is important and no more is because then it gets to become kind of a political thing. And it gets to be hard where you're needing to get everybody's approval and so forth before you send out a message or before, what you're going to do in your meetings. So 3 to 5 is the best. And it needs to be at least 3 and no more than 5. So do you have 3 to 5 area assistants in your area? If you don't, you need to get them. Now, one thing to mention here is as an area assistant, you don't need the state assistant's approval to add an area assistant to your area. You can go, if you know somebody in your area that's really willing to work and seems to be able to have the capabilities and the humility to assist other people, then you could call them to be an area assistant and you could nominate them in the system. And what you do is you go down to their name where the eye icon is, click on the eye icon, go to the bottom of the page and nominate them as an area assistant. And it takes 50% of the existing area assistants to nominate a new area assistant. And then also you can deprecate them, so you can remove somebody as an area assistant through the same manner, but you hit deprecate, and that takes 75% of the existing area assistants to also deprecate. And the state assistants also can be added as a vote. Okay, so that's one thing that you need to definitely set your area off right here. I don't know why I got an R there. That's something that you need to have in each area, and that is key and crucial. Also, ways to identify if your area is healthy. Area assistants are meeting at least once a month. Now, when your area is growing, you need to meet more than once a month. You need to meet weekly. It's just the way it is. You need to meet weekly. It's best if you can meet physically together, sit down for an hour or 2 and discuss what's going on in the area, what should be going on in the area. Once a month would be more like the area is kind of fully developed, it's functioning good, you have your nod system in place, you have all these other things going on, and so you don't need to meet so often. You meet once a month, but that's certainly not the case right now in really any area. And of course, as things heightened and we get to where people's rights are being infringed more, then there might be more of a need to meet more often. Okay. Also, the people in the area are meeting at least once a month. Okay. Same thing. When you have an area that's developing, people are joining. They're needing to get their neighbor organized defense in place. You need to be meeting at least, I would say, weekly again. And people ask, how do your areas grow in Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Utah, Arizona, all over, Montana, there's happening all over. But how are they growing? Because just a few months ago, our area was at 278, and now we're at 870, I think 6 or so. So we're actually in the process of splitting the area that I live in right now. So the way you grow your area is you meet often. And you you meet, I would say you need to meet weekly, maybe bi-weekly, but there's something about weekly meetings. Okay, what do you do in those meetings? Well, you socialize, you get to know each other, you have fun and enjoy each other, you train with each other, and you do planning with each other, and you educate each other in principles of freedom and what rights are and all of that. That's what should be going on in the people's meetings, and they should be happening at least once a month. What other ways to identify if your area is healthy? Messages are going out at least once a month. Now again, this isn't, oh sorry, this is not once a month. This is once a week. I'm glad I was able to write that in front of you guys, because messages are going out at least once a week. Email messages, text messages, radio nets, secure messages, newsroom articles, they should be going out at least once a week. And typically, there should be an email that goes out once a week, text message, you should be doing a radio net, you should be doing newsroom articles, and that can all be, all be going on in a week's time. One thing that I would say is like, what we do, let's say we have a meeting coming up or something, event or whatever's coming up, we'll email them 5 or 6 days in advance, then maybe, the day before, or we might email them a few days before again, depending on the importance of the event. Then like the day before, we'll remind them with a text message, and then maybe even a few hours, 3 or 4 hours before, maybe even 2 or 3 hours before, we'll give them another text message. And guess what happens when you do that? People show up. It's awesome. I have a lot of friends in the, you have different like liberty organizations and so forth. And when they come to our People's Rights meeting, their jaw drops, because we've got 200 or 300 people in the meetings. And we're actually doing something. They cannot believe that we are getting that many people to come to our, to our meetings. And it's because we're having them regularly, and weekly is what we're having, and because we have this great communication tools, and we need to use it. And yes, text messages do cost money, but it's there to use. It's not there not to use, and you need to use it. And you need to at least send a message out by text, I would say at least once a week, and an email with these other things. So one thing that I did ask, I asked the people, I've asked them multiple times, are we communicating too much with you? And every time I've done that, they've said no. In fact, they've said that they want more. So now there is a threshold, because some people, are really busy, and if you send text messages every day or multiple times a day, they're going to just have to get out because they can't handle that many messages. So be aware of that. Okay, ways to identify a healthy area. The amount of people in the area is growing. So your meetings are growing, your numbers are growing in the area. You can watch them grow and see how many people are joining by going to your homepage at peoplesrights.org. So it's growing. However, find out one important way to determine whether an area is healthy or not is that the area has no more than 1,000 people in it. When you get to 1,000 people, it's just too much. We should be around 200 to 500 people. And when you get over 500 people, you should start thinking about splitting. And let me give you a little bit of a breakdown. Let's say this is an area. Someone lives over here, and a person needs help over here, and this is 3 hours away. Well, it's just too far away to come and assist that person in their defense. And so what has to happen, and the growth pattern of People's Rights, is that we grow, we get to where we're at 500, to 1,000 people, and then we break up, and we break it up, and we break it in 4 different ways. And now, getting to that person, with these people is close. And these people would help each other there. And the idea is to have 200 to 300 people to be able to respond to each other's needs of defense and other things, and they only live 10 minutes away. And in order to do that, we have to grow our areas and then split them. Grow our areas and split them until we've got hundreds of thousands of areas all over the country with neighbors looking out for each other and meeting together, understanding who each other are, and willing to defend each other's rights. Okay, so that is important. No more than 1,000, and really once you get over 500, you should start thinking about splitting the area. Another indicator of whether you have a healthy area or not is the people in the area are working to secure their rights. And they're doing the following things. They're establishing good communication with each other, and they're becoming friends. You're going to see this. You're going to enjoy this. They're becoming friends. You will enjoy it. You're going to meet people, wonderful people that you never thought lived in your area. You're going to enjoy those people, become friends with them the rest of your life. So establishing good communication with each other. They're also putting into place the NOD system, which is the Neighbor Organized Defense. And I'm going to talk about this in another video into detail. But that's what we should be creating, a Neighbor Organized Defense, NOD system. They're also equipping themselves with tools needed to communicate, survive, and defend. And they're actively informing other people of how to join people's rights, because they're proud of it, or they're pleased with it. They want to tell their neighbors. They want to say, "Come and join us. Let's stand together as people who love freedom and people who are neighbors." So those are ways, kind of a list of ways to identify whether your area is healthy. There are no more than 3 to 5, or there's 3 to 5 area assistants. Area assistants are meeting at least once a month, preferably weekly. The people in the area are meeting at least once a month, preferably weekly. Socializing, training, planning, educating. Messages are going out at least once a week. Email, text, radio net, secure messages, newsroom articles. The amount of people in the area is growing, but that hasn't grown more than 1,000 people. And when you get around 500, you need to start thinking about splitting. And the people in the area are working to secure their rights by establishing good communication, becoming friends, putting into the place the NOD system, Neighbor Organized Defense, equipping themselves with tools needed to communicate, survive, and defend. They're doing this actively, buying radios, food storage, ammunition, making sure they're prepared. And then, of course, they're pleased to be part of people's rights, so they're telling everybody, and more people are coming. And they want more cards or banners, and they're printing off flyers. They might be doing that. That's what's happening. So your area is growing. So there it is in a nutshell, ways to identify whether your area is healthy. Thank you.